And the wool pad just gives a little bit more aggression, I guess. So we're doing what we consider stage 1, which is a high grit, about 500, 5 to 600 grit. And that's going through on this first run of this Headlight, which he's just gotten through. So we'll clean up some edges. We can use a terry towel to actually get into those edges. We've already taped it off, so that way we don't hit or tear up any of the plastic or overheat it. You can see where the headlights were, and then just quickly after we've gone through. So he's going to put a little compound on the terry, and then we can actually hand buff the fine edges if need to, or if you have a small pneumatic drill, you can set this on the end of a pad and then put it through. And then we're going to jump. Normally we do a 1, 2, and 3 stage if we're doing paint correction on a vehicle. For headlights, we're going to go from 1 to 3, and then we're just going to go around this vehicle. So we'll finish up with 1 on all sides, and then come back with what we consider stage 3. And stage 3 is a really fine polishing stage. And in our instance, we're using the Tech 581, which is a 1-step. It's a ceramic polish, so it's got some ceramic built into it, which gives it a little longer life. And then always working on those edges. Ceramic usually comes in 2 forms. You'll have a hard coat ceramic and then a liquid ceramic, which we use as our light compound here. And then there's a spray ceramic, which we use almost like a wax base. So it's a prep that goes back over on top of ceramic coated vehicles, or now it's converting over to graphene, which is the new product. And graphene's just a deeper shine. It's actually a suspended product with graphite in it. But for here, we'll continue looking. Again, we've got it all taped off just to protect that light plastic that's just on the outside. But if you'll look at the tail lights, when we get to that section that are back here, they just don't have that glow and shine, as you'll see is what's going to happen in just a minute. So we'll come back here. These are pretty lined square, so we'll buff them as is on this Xterra. All right, so he's just doing a little bit of that handwork to make sure we've got everything even. And already they look extremely well. It's just that last stage we'll put on. That stage 3 will get rid of any of the rest of the imperfections that we see. There's going to be some compound that gets kind of put into those edges. Stage 3 is going to actually clear that up, so it'll take off the rest of that compound that's on there with that process, and then we'll just come back through and wipe it with a rag. And that's the buffing process. So when you buff headlights, it's an option. The headlights are extremely bad, dark, oxidated to where they're peeling on you. We'll opt to do a restoration, which we'll do a video of that here shortly. But for most vehicles, a quick buff of the headlights is going to be what's going to get them back in place. The only thing with it is buffing the headlights does not last as long. So we offer a 1-year warranty. For $10, we'll do a 2-year warranty on headlight restoration. There isn't a warranty on this, and depending on whether they park inside, outside, 3-6 months is where we're at, how much they're washing it, or if they're taking care of it, it'll last longer. But if they're parking their vehicle outside, weather's got a lot to do with it. Sun will fade it, heat it up, because really we don't have that hard coat going back on with the buff. Now, if we do the restoration, we put a UV cured acrylic over when we're done, and that's your replacement for the OEM coating that's come off on these. And the yellow that we're seeing in this that makes it kind of look yellowed, browned out, it's actually dirt. And it's dirt generally from driving down the road and gets embedded into the soft plastic. So we'll see this transformation pretty quick.
Here you can really kind of see the cloudiness. I mean, even with the wax over it, but definitely cloudier.
Oh, by far. So I love this process. Every time we do it, it is so cool to see the transformation when it goes from that cloudy, ugly to almost new looking headlight. And the process is pretty quick. And pretty cool to watch. High speed buffers can be a little finicky, If you're scared of using a high speed, you can still do this by hand. You can use an orbital. It's just going to take you much longer to get the end result of what you're looking for. But yeah, just respect the tool, and it'll do you well. It'll save you a lot of time when it comes to this process. As you can see already, it's clearing up. We got the buff left. He's just going to clean up a little bit of that compound. Are you adding more to it?
Just get that fine edge.
Right. So we're just going to go in by hand for a little bit of trim work that's around the edges of those. And like I said, what really cleans this up is going to be that third stage, because this is doing all the heavy work. This is the cutter. The other one's just going to do that final polish on it. It is a wax base, so it is a polishing product, and it's built into a one-step, so it'll actually leave it with a coat of a wax style coat over the top when we're done here. So again, these you normally wouldn't run into on these Xteras. They just have those small little marker lamps up front that gives you a little bit more time, and you can see what he's done here with the final and that's not even the final product. We're still going to go over it with the third stage just to put a little bit more protection, but that is clear. Start out yellow, end up clear, and then here with our third stage coming through, that'll clean up quite a bit. I think we started just about a minute or two right before we started this video. So this process, generally we should be in there 10, 15 minutes top, and after it clears up, when we're finally done, we'll get this tape off there. You don't want to leave it on there too long. The adhesive on it could just stick, and quicker we get it off, the better, because we are putting the heat on it from the high-speed buffer.
You know, these headlights are from 2002, so with stuff like this, we'd probably recommend maybe 2 stages of that first cutting stage. But
right, getting the second one in there, it'll cut it twice. And then sometimes headlights you can't do with buffing, because if there's a crack in that housing anywhere, it's moisture that gets on the inside, creates condensation. Yeah. Well, let's finish up the back two real quick with the number one. Yep. So we're gonna do the tail lights on this too. Again, the tail lights are not bad, but we just did some tail lights. You could see those here. These we did yesterday on our work vehicle, and it is a rich, deep shine. You can see every light and where it's going. So we're excited to get these and put them in the same shape. Like I said, oxidation just comes in over time. They're not bad, but they will be so much better. So this process is just to make those lights brighter, because this is a safety concern. You want to be able to make sure that we're seeing other drivers, but you want the drivers to see you too. So that's tail lights, headlights. A lot of times where we're at up front, we probably lost 80, almost 90% of the light that's coming out of those. So you're not going to be able to see as far. You're not going to see the corners or turns first. All right, so we're just putting the stage one on there, so which is the rougher cut, and then this will go pretty quick. It's got a nice flat surface, which is much better than those headlights up front. Yeah, just look at the cut coming in. You just gotta make sure you keep the pad moving because this does heat up the light as it goes. But it's like a liquid sandpaper, just going in, taking off the oxidized edges on the outside of it. You just want to make sure your cord stays out of your way, so that's why we've got it around both hands, because it will grab it and throw it out of your hand. Watch the other, yep. Make sure that's over your shoulder. There you go. Right, we're just putting this video up so you have an idea on how this works. So that way, if you're looking at doing it on your own at your home, or if you have a business that you want to add at least a headlight buffing, if not restoration to, then this would be the process that you go through. You just want to make sure you have the ability to identify whether headlights can be done, can't be done, but look at that. And we still have one more stage to go over it, because that's going to be that polishing stage. All right, so we'll get this one knocked out. This will be the last with the first stage of cutting cream, and then we'll switch over to the first stage and all of those. It goes much quicker because it's not as thick as this is. So it's a much thinner product that'll go on, because it's just lighter. So this just got a heavier cut to it. And like I said, we knock it down with our fingers because it just smooths it out. You don't have any, you hit those edges. If he was to hit that glob right there, it would just sling it and just make a mess everywhere. So he's knocking it all down by hand. You just want to make sure you don't have too little product, and you sure don't want too much product, because it's just not only a waste of product, but you're going to start slinging it everywhere, and then you're re-detailing their car, your washing machine, set a match from another vehicle. So we just make sure that we're keeping everything together. Go. He's just making sure his cord's out of his way, and we'll just come back in. Putting the polish right on the edge. Again, this is a great add-on if you're already working with a vehicle, if you're doing yours at home, to just get that finishing touch. The better those headlights look, the better the whole vehicle looks. And again, same thing with the tail lights. All right, so I think maybe you just grab and we'll work backwards. So we'll do the stage 3 back here and work our way to the front.
Sweet.
Because since we're already here and we're not coming back, walking around the vehicle twice. Again, you could do this with the orbital buffer. But it would just take a little bit longer, does just not as aggressive or works as quickly. The pad's important. You can use you see how liquid this is? It doesn't stick in globs. It wants to run down the whole thing. So this is a super fine finish. I'm thinking it's 2,000, maybe 2,500 would be the equivalent grit if I had to guess there. And then the pad does make a lot of difference. You can use the wool pads I like. They cut well. Darker the pad, usually the heavier the cut. There's also foam pads that fit on these you can use. Foam pads, I think, are more aggressive than the wool. Wool's a little more forgiving. But either way, here we go. This will be a quick one. This is light. This product is really light, and it just adds that little high-end finished gloss at the very end. And normally we could have taped it off or left the back up, but cutting over it with the light cut onto the paint actually would probably do this a favor on this side, so it's not going to hurt the paint in this instance. If we were worried about it, we'd be taping it off, we'd have the rear open, but this one's just going to make it look better. God, that does look good. All right, you can see it. There's his finished product. And tail light is buffed out. And then tail lights we do add on as an extra service, just depending on the amount of time. We're going to cut through it. We're taking a little bit more here, so we should be running probably just a couple more minutes and we'll be finished on this side. And again, you can see this one stage. She's pretty liquidy. She's pretty thin compared to the stage 1. So again, stage 3, 2, just not a need to cut it in. We just found that this makes it much shinier after a little bit of testing. So we tried it with just the third cut, which will work, but the third and first just take it that step farther. And then we're just gonna work the tail lights, making sure we get everywhere into where the product's at. Use your edges. Again, you can also use the orbital buffer on this as well. So there it is. Just smoothing it out. And then we're just going to rag it off before it dries. Dang. And then, yeah, as you place the buffer down, always make sure it's not on the pad itself. We don't want it picking up debris off the floor. Just the cutter cream. That's enough debris on it to make the cut. You could switch out pads. This pad's also double-sided, so you can loosen it, flip it over if you wanted to separate your two cutter creams, because remember, we only charged it with the first one, but it's picking up this product as we go, and dude, that's beautiful. Good work. All right, we got a couple more lights. Just those two headlights, then the two marker lights on the side. We'll go through, and then this project will be done. So if you're looking to add this on, if it's your business, or if you're looking to do this at home, this is something that can be done. If you're afraid of the high-speed buffer, you can use an orbital. You can even do this by hand if you wanted to. Again, just this speeds up the process as you come through, and then you charge what your time's worth. And if you're doing it for yourself, it's a great project to make your vehicle look much better. Much, much better. Clean headlights on a car just make it look night and day different. So sometimes that's what I think when you're working from afar. If you have clean headlights and clean windows, the whole car looks clean. All right, so like I said, this is just the polishing bit, so it's just going to be a quick over, and we'll wipe the rest in. And we tried it without it. We've done many headlights just using the stage 3, but I think just bumping this up to that stage 1 gives it that little extra that we've already got here. And we're taking our time just a bit more than we normally would. We got a couple more extra headlights. Normally, if we're just doing the 2 and it's front smooth, you don't have a lot of extra in the way. Again, just a little bit of cord management. We're sitting behind them. And when we're done, just want to take off that plastic as much as possible. All right, so we're ending our time here. We'll let Ben finish up this headlight. He's just going to go back over, finish stage 3. We're hitting about the 20-minute mark, so this is where I wanted you for this time frame. So Ben, thanks, dude. Looks great. The other side's going to look wonderful. We'll get that tape off, and Happy customer. So again, this is Romy with RC Auto Detailing Carpet Cleaning. You can reach us at 970-373-3336 or visit us on the web at www.rcautocity.com. Have a great day.